Yes, guys, so we have just finished recording the episode that you are about to listen to, and myself and Will, I think, were pretty happy with how it turned out.
Yeah, I loved it. It was brilliant.
Today we interviewed, and you're about to witness, the interview of my father, who has...
More than just Joel's dad.
Yeah, evident. I didn't even know this about him, but he spent 3 years working in and around Hollywood. He's released 16 books, which you can read on Amazon or anywhere.
Yeah,
and
we learn about his journey as a writer.
Yeah.
We learn more about some big or hard decisions he's had to make throughout his journey.
Forks in the road.
To this point now.
It's really interesting.
I've absolutely loved it. And I think everyone will really enjoy this one.
All I'm going to say, Will, there was a strange story about Megan Fox and the toilet.
Yeah.
There are some Hollywood stories that you might enjoy.
Got an odd habit of meeting people in toilets.
Dwayne Johnson.
Come to find out.
Josh Gad. I think you're going to enjoy this one. So, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you episode 6 of the Mandem podcast. Our second guest interview, Martin Saunders. Mr. Martin Saunders.
How are we?
Now, look, a lot of people will be thinking, why is Joel's dad the second guest? Like, is this the end? Have you scraped the bottom of the barrel already and got Joel's dad in? And let's be honest about this, right? You said to me right at the start of this, Dad, would you come on the podcast?
You've got an interesting story.
And I said, I might have some later. But I said, yeah, I'd love to. And then Will said, that'd be a nice idea. And then Charlie Kruger,
the other host,
Charlie, he said, that's a terrible idea. Don't get your dad on. That's really sad. You'll look terrible.
So it's definitely a coincidence that the one day Charlie's not able to make it, we've got our new guest, Mr. Martin Saunders.
And I'm here to say, Charlie, I'm here to prove you wrong.
Oh,
this whole episode is, I don't want to call it a vendetta. It's an attempt. Let's call it revenge. It's an attempt.
Revenge of the myth.
Yes. It's an attempt to show you how wrong you are.
Okay, well, that...
Hello,
slightly
thanks for welcoming me.
Let's introduce yourself to everyone who doesn't know you. Who are you?
I'm Joel's dad. No, my name's Martin Saunders. I work for a youth charity called Youthscape, and I write lots of things in my spare time as well as in my day job. And I have 4 wonderful children, one of whom is sitting opposite me in this rather weird setup.
Me.
Yeah, and the other one.
Will, I wish.
The adopted 5th son.
Will, if only. If only you were my son.
How old are you?
I mean, let's not put a number on it.
You've been working for a few years.
I've been in work for a number of years and I'm not 50.
You're not new to the writing game. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Your many stories over the years of learning and growing as a writer and becoming the man you were made to be. Oh, that might come up later. But first, we're going to start with a new segment that this is the first time the audience is going to see it live, if you know what I mean.
Wow.
And it's a new tournament. And basically, what we're going to ask you to do is you have to imagine, right? You're being sent to space in a rocket ship, and it's going to be stuck in space for 3 years, and you're all on your own. You're given unlimited supply of your essentials, your food, your water, your clothes, your shelter, but you're allowed to bring any two non-essential items. It can't be your phone, but it can be anything else. Mm-hmm. We've since found out what our previous guest would have said. We've ranked it and given him a score out of 10, and we're also going to give you a score out of 10. And we're going to, as new guests come onto the podcast, we're going to create a leaderboard. So, Mr. Martin Saunders, aka Father, what are the 2 non-essential items that you would bring to space with you?
I mean, this is such a surprise. First of all, I would like a toasty maker.
Okay.
A toasty maker?
Yeah, I'd like to bring a toasty maker.
Are you an avid toasty?
I've become one, Will.
Yeah.
So I would say this is quite a bold claim.
Yeah.
But I think anything is good in a toasty. Any ingredient.
I reckon we could fly the floor to this.
Any ingredients you like. I mean, not you can't put
within reason.
You can't.
Yeah.
I mean, not
any
like
food item.
Yeah. You can't put like a sock in there.
Yeah.
But
no, obviously.
But food in a toasty, you cannot go wrong. And I feel like you'd have the essentials up in space. But it's just you're talking about luxury, and
Yeah.
when I think luxury, I think toasty.
So 3 years.
3 years of
3
toasty. And you could spend literally. You've got 1,000 days.
Yeah.
I'm immediately thinking non-fiction book here. I'm thinking you come back and you think the Spaceman's 1,000 toasty recipes. That is a
1,000 toast.
That is a
That's a good
bestseller.
book. That's a good
Yeah.
book.
Because
That could
every
be your-
single day I've been in space, I've come up with a different toasty recipe. I've put different
You
things.
come up with some absolute horrors.
Day 1, cheese. Day
Yeah.
2, cheese and ham.
Yeah.
And then you take it from there.
Wow.
You just hedge your way around the...
Day 500 cheese.
A lot of
cheese,
ingredients.
ham,
There's a lot.
lettuce.
Oh, you just keep putting more things in there.
Yeah.
Wow.
But honestly, I think anything, like particularly, this is a little tip for anyone listening. If you've got leftovers in the fridge,
Okay.
put leftovers in a toasty.
In a toast.
So it works for anything. What about carrots?
Anything. Try it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Think of
I'll
leftover.
take
You know, like
it on.
leftover curry, right? Leftover
Yeah.
curry, so.
Yeah.
Stick it in a toasty.
Stick it in a toasty.
Amazing.
What's some stuff that you've tried?
To try it.
I mean, so far, I'm not in space yet, so
Yeah.
I've probably kept it. I tell you what I've started to do. This is a little bit like this is just branching out. So I've only just got a toasty maker.
Okay.
Which is why I'm
Oh, that's
keen,
why you're so
that's why I'm
adamant
keen
about
to
it,
take it
yeah.
into
Do you know, I am
space.
eating toasties a lot recently, I've realised.
I've become one of those boring people who talks about their air fryer all the time, right?
Amazing things.
I'm that with toasty.
Yeah.
And I've started, eggy bread.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Nice.
know, like you can put eggy bread in a toaster. So you soak the bread in egg,
Yeah.
and then put that in your toasty maker with a filling, and it's like French toast,
Genius.
toasted sandwich with you want to take this to space.
I almost want to go to space
Yeah,
just so I
I can
can.
try the toast.
I feel like this wouldn't be the same at home. I feel like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
now need to build
In
a rocket
space.
ship.
You know, you don't have to go to space to do this.
No, I don't think it will be the same at home.
Yeah, it's
Alright.
the experience.
Yeah, that's
Also,
what I go for.
all right, I've got a question. We're in space. How are you going about making a toasty in zero gravity?
Well, they have a little clip.
Oh, fair.
It's
all
fine.
locked down.
It all locks down. Yeah,
Okay.
it all
That's fair.
closes. That's not a
Yeah.
problem.
Fair, fair.
Let's
What
try
are
and find
we
problems.
rating? What are we rating item 1 out of 5? Because we're going to do 5 plus 5 equals 10.
I don't know. I'd probably have to give it. Probably have to give it a 3. I'll be honest. It sounds like you've got lots of variety.
Yeah.
But if I'm there for 1,000 days, that's 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could make a toasty. Like I don't know how long it'd last until I either run out of ideas for toasties or how many toasties I'm going to make in a day. Because
Yeah,
I'd end
fair.
up like going crazy over toasties and having leftover toasties
Do you
in
think?
space.
Do you think once you eat a food to an extended amount of time, it just becomes like you almost
Another
vomit
fight.
at the sight of it?
But I suppose, but then that's what kind of brings it up is you've got
Different
more
ingredients.
variety. Right.
You can make pudding ones. You could
could.
put pudding items.
You could
in
make
there.
a pudding,
And you could do it with like fruit bread.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
So like a fruity toasty, which I haven't even tried yet. I mean, that's like
Toasted
I'm just getting myself excited. I want to leave now and make some toasties.
endless possibilities.
Yeah, fair.
So yeah, for me personally, a 3. I can't see myself doing it. Like keeping myself entertained with a toasty maker.
Are we allowing point marks?
Like half marks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah,
go.
yeah,
I'll go 3.5. 3.5.
3.5.
Because as you say, there is a limit to it, and you might get a bit bored of it. But if we're given, like as I said, you're given an unlimited amount of your food, your drinks, and stuff. You could, as Martin said, my dad, you can make a lot of combinations, and that'll keep you busy. And I like the idea of you making a book about it when you get back.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll give it a 3.5. What is your second item?
Well, I feel like it's linked a little bit. So if you have all these toasties, 1,000 recipes, and I promise you will, you won't get bored because you'll spend your days. You'll spend your days dreaming. Because you've got nothing else to do. You're
Yeah,
trapped
fair,
in
fair.
space.
That's true.
So all you're going to do is dream up toasty recipes. Some of them are going to go badly wrong.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to do a chili and cheese one, which just like
Yeah.
messes you up.
Okay.
And
Oh.
so item 2
Yeah.
is luxury toilet roll.
Oh.
Luxury
Yeah, I
toilet
want a
roll.
luxury toilet roll because
the company
when
luxury or like a luxury.
when the tough when the going gets tough and
Yeah.
You need
Yeah.
to. You need
You've
to
had
go.
too many chilies.
get going,
Yeah.
right?
Too many chili
That
toasters.
what you want in that moment is you want the blessed relief of a luxury toilet roll, and I feel like in space it's going to be like school toilet paper.
Yeah.
And it's going to be
Yeah.
it's going to be like sandpaper,
Oh.
and that's not what you want.
No.
No.
You want luxury toilet paper, and there might even be a moistness to it.
Maybe.
Because this
Maybe.
is fantasy toilet
Yeah,
paper.
yeah.
This could be do you remember Billionaire Boy by
Yeah.
David Williams?
Yeah.
This could be bum fresh, right?
Bum fresh.
And that's what you want. Like it's just the little things when you're in
Yeah.
space and you're going mad. It's the little thing that stops tipping you over the edge.
He's got a point.
I don't know if I get more mad.
What about the moisture?
Yeah, I'd come back to Earth and be so obsessed with.
And also back to the
Special
zero, back to the
toilet
zero gravity. Like, are you clipping down this? How are you going about?
I don't
having a
know. I mean,
toilet?
you didn't ask me about this. You asked me what two items.
Hey man, you were the one who went to space and did all this. I'm gonna give that a. I don't think it's that. I think there's so many better things to bring to space. You could have bought your wife.
Name one.
Your wife.
I'm telling you what, right? If I've had an awful Vindaloo toasted sandwich, I don't want my wife anywhere near me. I want
Fair.
I want lovely moist toilet paper.
I'm gonna go 2.
I'm probably gonna go 2.1.
That's so bad. We're not gonna be able to count. Just go 2.
Okay, 2.
I think it's
Okay,
brilliant
2
that
as
you,
well.
by the way, have both gone for number 2.
Yeah, no. That's the reason we did it.
Yeah, but I just can't see myself. Again, I think for me a lot of it's about being entertained because otherwise I'd get quite bored. But I think
I'm not going to win this, am I?
Well, we'll tell you what
Maybe
Noah
not.
said. The previous guest. We'll tell you what he did after we calculated your score. So what was that again?
So
Sorry.
that's 2. So
2.
2 and 2 is 4. That's 2 out of 5.
And then
those
plus
are
3.5
So
plus 3 equals divided by
4.
2.
Oh no, yeah, it was 3.
Yeah,
I've
I've got it. So your score
Yes.
out of 10,
Yeah.
5.25.
That's not going to win.
You are currently
5.25.
second on the leaderboard.
But hang on, how many people are on the leaderboard?
2.
Wow.
But you're still in second place.
I'm sure you won't remain last.
All right, fine.
Let's move on to the next segment. Oh, also for reference, Noah brought with him a Guinness Book of World Records so he could continuously beat records.
Yeah.
And he also brought with him a robo dog.
Well, hang on, that got better.
I think that's more entertaining.
Guinness Book of World Records so he can beat the records while he's in space.
Yeah, all right.
All right, we're now going to move on to the Get to Know segment where you are going to further get to know your guest. So, I'm going to ask you, if you were locked in a 5-star kitchen with every ingredient in the world, and you can't talk about toasties, what do you think you could make that would seem the most impressive?
I'm not going to talk about toasties. Not weird.
It's not your thing right
I'm
now.
like obsessed with toasties.
Really, it's not like, it's like the 2 things that you do.
But I will, look, I don't want to say any
3
more about
years.
toasties, probably. But I just want to say, if I make this thing, I might well put what's left at the end of the night in a toastie the next day.
Oh.
Right, fine. Do you know what? I've just spent about 5 hours with one of my other kids making a curry from scratch.
Okay.
And we did we made our own naans, which are
Very
actually
nice.
really easy
Yeah.
to make. You tried them,
Yeah,
right?
they were
Oh,
really
it was
nice.
nice,
Really easy
Yeah.
to make. And we made a madras, which was a bit tingly and spicy, and we made a chicken tikka masala as well.
Nice.
And there is something really satisfying, isn't there, about making food from scratch?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your own food, it just tastes better.
Yeah,
Does
tastes
taste
better.
better.
Yeah.
So I have no personal connections to the subcontinent, but I think that I would try and replicate English, like Anglo-Indian food. I think
Yeah.
that's what I would
Oh.
do.
Do you reckon that would take you a while? Or do you reckon you'd be
It
quite
takes
efficient?
forever. Yeah,
Is it?
it takes forever. You've got to chop things and blend things,
Yeah.
and there's pastes and
That's a good answer.
There's
Have
all sorts.
You seem to have a decent amount of experience with it, so
with Indian.
yeah,
If I was a single man,
yeah,
I would only eat Indian food,
oh,
and I would be morbidly obese.
yeah. It could be an issue for your health, but it
Yeah.
tastes nice.
Yeah, I would.
Maybe you should have taken that to space, and then maybe like a running machine to like burn it. Yeah. Anyway, question number 2.
Okay. So if you had to get a tattoo right now, what would it be?
Oh, do you know? I mean, I'm a bit pain intolerant,
Okay.
which is another way of saying a bit of a wimp.
Okay.
But I probably something child connected, not like
Not in a weird way.
not in a weird way. My own children.
Because you're a
Oh,
four.
right, yeah.
So
yeah.
I'd probably put not their faces. That would be
You don't
really
think 4
weird.
faces on your back? I reckon that.
Their faces on my face. Their names probably somewhere.
That's quite
Or I do like the Celtic. The Celtic
The
cross.
Celtics. Yeah.
quite
Oh, like a
I would
Christian.
like them.
Yeah, they're cool.
Yeah.
Where would you put it?
Well, I mean that is. I don't want to go down the route. I feel like you're trying to. This is like the first step in the conversation.
Yeah.
Getting you
It'll
to-
progress.
Getting me to
Yeah.
to get a tattoo.
I mean, you love my tattoos.
Oh, I love them. Arm. I put it on my arm somewhere.
Question number 3. If you could live in one storyline from a book or film or TV series, what would it be?
Die Hard. John McClane.
You just
John
be
McClane
Hard.
in Die Hard. You know you're going to be all right because I know the end of Die Hard.
Yeah, I suppose.
So I'm going to be fine.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the fact that there's a Die Hard 2, 3 and 4 gives away that he makes it through it.
You know
But it's so cool.
That's interesting that you went for him rather than being yourself in the storyline.
Oh, well,
You could have done both.
Yeah, no, I want to be John McClane.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah. Die Hard is,
Pretty cool.
I think, the greatest movie ever made.
Is it a Christmas movie?
Absolutely.
It is.
It's set at Christmas.
Ooh.
There's a Christmas
Okay.
office. Well, there's an office Christmas party.
Yeah, we'll remember that scene. We'll remember
It
that scene.
ends with a Christmas song, right? He's going home for Christmas.
Yeah.
It's, you know,
He's driving
Okay.
home for Christmas.
All right.
Okay, good
That's
answer.
right.
come out to the coals,
Just-
we'll have a few laughs.
Love
It's all
to
about
know your
Christmas.
opinion on that. That's good. Right.
Question
So
four.
question number 4, moving swiftly on. What is one profession besides your current one that you think you could immediately go pro in?
As in without any training.
Yeah.
You're ready now.
Like foot archery.
Just 'cause I haven't mentioned this already, by the way, you're my favourite host.
Okay.
Come on.
Right.
Can I see that?
How was that related?
I knew I wanted to mention it
Yeah.
at
Wow.
least 3 times.
Come on.
Strike one.
So, as we will come on to, I've tried and failed to be a Hollywood screenwriter. So that was, so that's probably not one I could just do.
Yeah. Never know.
Do you know what I think I could do? I could be a town planner.
A what planner?
Town planner.
A town planner.
You know those people who like decide where like roads and buildings
Roads go.
and things go. Particularly like, I tell you what I would love.
Yeah.
Have you ever played like Sim City or like
Yeah.
one of those games?
Yeah.
I'd love like if someone said, "Oh, we're making a new town
Design.
in the middle of nowhere." You could just design that.
Wow.
I would be awesome. At
Would
that.
you have straight roads?
Of course.
Yes.
He has a
Yes.
he has a passion for
Yeah,
that.
that's
Of
good,
course
that's
you
good,
would.
good.
Not
Good.
so you could go all Fast and Furious, but is that why you like it?
No. You wouldn't suppose you'd have the autobahn through the middle of the town, would you? By any chance?
Well, I mean, no, I feel like
That's
we've
unlimited speeding.
stumbled into an area of interest of yours.
It was covered in a previous episode.
No, yeah.
Oh, well, I wouldn't know.
No. But yeah, that sounds good.
Town planner, please.
Yeah. Okay. That's
We
good.
can make that happen. We might have someone listening who can sort that out for
You
you.
never know.
Question number 5. If you could share a meal with 3 people who, dead or alive,
Yes.
who would they be?
Jesus Christ,
Okay.
most influential man who ever lived,
Okay.
as like shaped the course of history more than anyone else, and particularly in the West. Martin Luther King is the one person who's made the name Martin cool.
yeah.
But also other reasons.
Yeah.
But
Obviously,
mainly that
But
one.
mainly, yeah.
And Taylor
It's who you're named after, isn't it?
Taylor
Taylor
Swift.
would
Are you
be
a
my other
Swiftie
one.
then?
I'm not named after Martin Luther King. Just clear that up right.
That's wise.
That's not who I'm named after. Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift. Because first of all, I think like it would be really interesting to talk to her now when she's the most famous person on earth.
She probably
Like,
actually is,
yeah.
yeah.
What
Very
would it
famous.
be like to be that person? How do you hold
Yeah.
it all together?
I bet she loves it.
And then also, I think she's very talented. She's not the most underrated person in the world because lots of people rate her.
Yeah.
But she is very talented, and she's a poet, and people don't give her enough credit for the fact that she's a poet. So I think it'd be interesting. I wouldn't get a word in edgeways, would I? Between Luther King, Christ, and Swift.
Swift.
Yeah,
And
that's-
Saunders now.
Yeah, that's a good 3.
Yeah, no, fair.
That is a good 3. Right. So moving on again.
Yeah.
If you could remove or pass a new law, what would it be?
Okay, so I think I've done a pretty good job so far of not being middle-aged. What do you think? Will?
Yeah, no, you've done. Yeah, you've done.
You seem like
yeah,
you
you've
could
done.
be
You've
20.
done pretty well.
I could be 20.
Yeah.
We could
You
all
are,
be
right?
We could all be 20, right, guys?
Yeah.
But I'm gonna show my colours here. It's not gonna be about recycling, although that is a passion.
It's his hobby.
I tell you what, right? The thing that annoys me most in the world, and it might be an obscure element of driving to you, I don't know. Do either of you drive?
I don't drive yet.
You're my
but-
father.
Yeah, I know, but I'm not clear whether you drive or
learning
not.
to.
You've been trying to drive
All
for
right,
some time.
all right, let's move on.
But when you're driving and the lanes close and it goes down to one lane, right? What you're supposed to do is like merge into that one lane.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they give you ample warning. They're saying 800 yards and 600 yards, whatever it is.
It's got the arrow going.
Yeah, the arrow's going in. Come on, guys, play the game. You can see that lots of people are playing fair. They're getting into that one lane that's open,
I think
right?
I know where you're going.
They're
with
going
this.
to that one lane that's
Yeah.
open, and then there's just this subculture of evil, twisted people who just think they have some God-given right to drive all the way around the outside, or they pass the 600, 400, 200 yard sign, right?
Yeah.
All the way to the end, and then just at the last minute,
Oh.
and indicate, right? As if, I've just realised, oh my gosh, I'm in the wrong lane. Would you mind letting me in? I've just driven past 4 million people to get to here, right, who've been waiting in turn. Please, may I cut in? By the way, I'm the reason that's going to hold everybody up.
Yeah.
Okay? Those people, prison.
Do you know what this is?
Immediately.
There's no fine or anything.
Prison. And if you do it 3
Death
times,
Death
I think more than prison.
More than death penalty.
I didn't say it.
Just a flogging.
I didn't say it. You said it.
Do you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of when you go to like Thorpe Park or Disney World and you're queuing for hours and these people like walk past like with
their speedy
Fast
ticket.
pass.
Yeah.
Those people, right? I mean, sometimes there's good reasons for it, but most of the time,
the people that don't have good reasons.
most of the time, it's an entitlement. Is what it is.
Yeah.
We're talking the people that pay extra just so they don't have to wait.
Yeah. I mean, at least they pay for it. Whereas your guy in your white van who just thinks it's fine, I'll just cut in at the last minute.
Yeah.
Honestly.
How long for?
Ever.
Ever. So how are they doing it 3 times to get killed?
I don't want to comment anymore.
All right, next question. We are going to be asking you, if you were to have a boxing fight, what song would you walk out to?
I think it would really intimidate the opponent if you chose something quite silly.
Yeah, they do that a lot.
Yeah, like a sort of like a 1970s sort of comedy theme tune from on a kazoo or something, a little mouth trumpet.
Like the Ghostbusters or something.
No, that's a bit later.
Da-da-da-da-da.
But no, that's too. But again, that's too serious.
Oh, really?
But like a sort of like almost a sort of comedy theme tune.
Well, I don't know. I feel like this is slightly a past our age range, so you might have to hum it for us or something.
I don't know. I feel like I didn't see this question.
When I get the question,
when you asked me to prep in advance with horror, I've just seen that.
You go with Taylor Swift.
I didn't see this one.
Swift.
I don't know. I wouldn't go out to Taylor Swift.
No,
I think it would intimidate people to go out to a silly theme tune.
Yeah.
There was in the 90s. There was a character called Mr. Blobby.
Okay.
And I think going out to Mr. Blobby, because Mr. Blobby had a song.
Okay.
And I think that would be
That's
especially if you weren't Blobby. No. If you were Blobby, then going out to that,
Blobby.
that's not gonna work for you. I feel that's my weakest answer.
No, but
I didn't.
If you're doing that on the spot, this is a decent answer. I'd like to see that happen.
Yeah, well.
Should we get?
I might. You know
Misfits?
You know me.
You fight KSI.
I might be Blobby again.
Why don't you fight KSI?
No. Don't try.
Because he might be a guest one day.
Don't try and get me on people that I.
All right, next question.
Yeah.
Okay, so one superpower. I think everyone loves these questions.
Questions.
Do you want to start again? Well.
Yes, thank you.
No, that was sort of like the farmer from Shaun the Sheep.
Yeah, don't speak straight. What's one superpower you'd want?
I think teleportation would be the best superpower.
Yeah, brilliant.
Because I don't know if others have said that already, because I don't listen to this. But I love travel.
Yeah.
I don't love travelling.
Yeah.
That's a valid answer.
And so, the thought that you could just instantly be in New York without any jet lag.
It is pretty cool.
Go out for the evening
and
then come back home. That would be awesome.
I do have a devil's advocate. You remember? So we go on holiday to like a nice little cottage by the sea up north of England.
Yeah.
It's very special because we don't go there very often.
That's right.
Do you reckon if you were just like thinking, I might want to go there like now for like 5 minutes, it will become less and less of a novelty?
I think that's absolutely right. Yeah.
But is that a price you're going to?
I am willing to pay that price because I can go to the Seychelles like in a minute.
Yeah.
And just like go and lie on a beach.
Yeah.
So I'll pay the price.
Here's the thing. What happens if you teleport in and you go somewhere, but you've put yourself in the middle of danger?
Yeah.
What happens then if you've got
What?
New
Yeah,
York and you land in
earthquake.
the street and there's a car coming?
Well, yeah, and I've always thought I often think about this. Obviously,
While he's
But-
eating his toasties.
Keep
but what if you teleport into an object, like
Yeah.
like midway through something,
that would be
Like a
really.
lorry or something.
or into somebody else? You're sort of halfway through another person.
Oh,
That's
Oh,
the way
that's
you
just
and
merge.
that's you die, don't
Just
you?
turned really
Yeah.
dark.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
saying.
I think
that's
you'd have to
gonna
play it safe, like, oh, I'm going to teleport into this field near where I want to go or something.
happen. Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
you could teleport to a cow.
Yeah.
Maybe like
Tractor.
you should always teleport 5 feet off the ground, and you'd
Oh,
have a little
right.
fall at the
Yeah.
end, which should be
Which
which should
worth
be
it.
awkward. But it
Imagine
would
you
be
like
worth-
fell into like a blender or something. That could be bad. Like,
Where's
where in the
human
world is there a giant human-sized blender?
I don't know.
Can I
know
just
off
add-
to teleport to.
Lads, can I just add a note to this?
Uh-huh.
Anyone on this ever says invisibility?
Yeah,
Don't
no,
trust
Bit
don't
creepy,
worry,
innit?
don't
That's
worry.
very creepy.
That is a bit
don't
creepy.
worry.
Just at that
in the
point,
bad books,
right?
Yeah.
Red flag.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
The
No
very
one, no
red
one has
flag.
said that, but I bet there will do. So we'll keep an eye out. We'll report them. Next, we've only got 2 more questions
Oh my
until
goodness.
the interview begins.
People are listening to this. Are people listening to this?
Maybe.
they're thinking, "Gosh, this is thrilling. There's 2 more."
Do you know what? I've seen the numbers of listeners for this, and I'm surprised at the amount that there is due to like the content. Do you know what I mean?
What for this?
The series of podcasts.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I thought you meant you'd seen the future.
Oh no, that's not my superpower. Number 9 of 10 get to know questions. If you were to make a song with any 2 artists, dead or alive,
Yes.
who would they be?
I think, just for credibility, I'm going to say Dr. Dre. I don't really know much of his music,
That is, yeah.
but I feel like people would like listen to it and think it was cool.
I was
Yeah.
not expecting.
I feel
it.
like as soon as Dr. Dre's on a record, I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's
Okay, fair.
yeah, that's really good.
Okay.
So
Clever.
no one says, oh, that terrible Dr. Dre song, do they?
No.
They dare not.
Yeah,
they
yeah,
dare
yeah.
not say that.
Nice.
It is,
So
yeah.
just for the credibility, so I can be like, everyone will unassailably popular.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dr. Dre. But then I'm also going to have the greatest artist of all time.
What, Taylor Swift.
No, not Taylor Swift.
Not Taylor Swift.
Good,
no.
good.
He's a singer-songwriter from New York called Billy Joel,
Oh, it's who I'm named after.
who you are
Billy
named after.
So you're
No
named
way.
after Martin Luther King, and I'm
I didn't
named
know-
after Billy Joel.
I didn't know you named after Billy
You're
Joel.
named after Billy Joel.
I don't think so.
So you know.
Actually,
Absolutely.
is that? Does Mum? Is she aware of that?
I'm not sure
No.
she's aware, but it's certainly why I was so keen.
Brilliant.
But he is now. If you've never listened, you've probably heard 1 or 2
Like Uptown
Billy
Girl.
Joel songs. Yeah, if you've heard Uptown Girl, it's a bit like.
Uptown.
I can't.
He's
believe I'm
aware
going
of the
there
song.
again. I know that song. But it's a bit like Taylor Swift. Like if you find proper Taylor Swift fans, none of them love "Shake It Off."
No.
No, none of them like
No,
the,
no.
the-
They
the
like
famous
song
songs.
35 on album 4.
Exactly. Right, and that's the same with Billy Joel. Like his great songs are there. His lesser known
niche
songs.
ones.
But you should check him out.
We
Yeah.
will do.
Oh, yeah.
Please do.
I assure you.
I have to.
That's
So
your
you're named
homework.
after?
Your homework, listeners, is to make a toasty and listen to some Billy Joel.
Yeah.
Final
Make it
question.
toasty.
Final question, Will.
Right. So, who, in your opinion, is the most underrated person?
Yeah. They could be a
Just in the
celebrity.
world.
They could be a celebrity, or it could be your
Could be
mother.
anyone.
Yeah.
It's you, Will.
Yes. Come
Wow.
on.
Again, wasn't
Just
expecting
It's
that.
not you, Will.
Oh, flip.
Because everyone rates you.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
you are the most
Everyone
rated.
rates you. I've heard people say you're the best host.
Oh, thank
And
you very
I'm
much.
certainly in that group.
Oh.
Well, I mean, a little shout out for Billy Joel again, but we've already done that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to
Yeah.
say, can I go fictional?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go
Right,
for it.
so, because this is a great passion of mine, right? I think one of the most underrated people, and we'll probably get into why later on, Hawkeye in the Avengers.
Hawkeye.
Yeah, no one likes
Really?
Hawkeye.
No.
Everyone's like, oh, you could do without Hawkeye.
Yeah.
But he's the human centre to the movie. Without Hawkeye, it's just like CGI things hitting each other. But
Yeah.
Hawkeye gives the film a heart, and you actually care about.
'Cause
what
he's a real
happens.
man.
Because he's a real person.
He's a real
with
person.
real stakes.
As opposed to Tony Stark, who's also a real man, and Black Widow,
Look.
and
I
Cap.
think
Yeah.
I think we've
And
think
Bruce
we've
Banner.
Just everyone that's
talked
not
about
Hulk.
this enough. But I think Hawkeye. I think Hawkeye is the most interesting.
The
Yeah,
most human.
and
The most- and the most underrated character.
He's got cool hair as well in
He's
Endgame.
got cool hair in Endgame. I thought you were going to spoil Endgame then.
No, I would never do that. That was the Get to Know segment of Martin Saunders, and we're going to move on to the main segment, which is, well, your life. And as we said in the previous guest episode, every good story starts with a good beginning. So, Martin, or Dad, what was early life like?
Oh gosh. Can I just say at this point, do you think Charlie's listening to this and he's thinking, I made a terrible error? Or do you think he's thinking, you see?
No, I think
you see?
This is good.
I was right.
So I'm enjoying this a lot.
Come on, Charlie.
Yeah.
Come on, Charlie. I hope the people demand a one day when you're massive, when you guys have got like a million followers, you've jettisoned Joel and you've built the whole thing around Will. At that point, I hope the people demand a episode 2.
Episode 2. Oh,
we'll get Martin Saunders too.
Yeah,
Martin
I
Saunders
hope
too.
that happens,
Love
but I
episode
don't.
2.
It'll be for a while.
Yeah.
We could do a roast of Charlie Creek.
Can you ask? I'd love to do
Roast battle.
Can I just ask, because I'm old, can I ask what the question was again, please?
What was early life like?
Oh.
We're talking school, we're talking family, we're talking hobbies, we're talking bullying.
I was bullied.
I'm aware.
I was bullied by a lot of people. I was multiply bullied. Yeah.
Do you think the listeners can understand that?
What, listening to this?
Yeah.
No, I think they're thinking, how's this guy ever been bullied?
Yeah.
He must have been the most popular guy in any room he's ever been in.
Yeah, Mr. Alpha, mate.
Absolutely. No, I was. I I had very loving parents. Your grandparents, obviously.
Yeah.
And I had a very safe home, which was brilliant. I probably spent a little bit more time of my own choosing in front of games, video games, and I mean the very early video games.
This was the 90s, wasn't it? And the 80s.
Yeah, the 80s.
What kind of games was that? Like Space?
Wow,
Invaders?
it started Space Invaders. Come on, not that old. No, like I used to have like the old. I have to because my dad was in computers, so we always had computers in the house, and so I always had like the Spectrum and then the Atari, and I kind of had
no idea
home computers.
Never heard of them.
You might have some older listeners. You never know.
Never know.
And so I probably did a bit too much of that. And as a result, didn't do an enormous amount of kind of
Socialising.
sport. No, I did do some socialising. I did do some socialising. But I did also get bullied quite a bit. So there was a lad in my primary school who bullied me.
He might be listening.
I hope so. Jason Hood, his name was.
Oh wow, we don't normally
call him out.
We don't normally name that.
And then there were a couple of guys in my secondary school who were quite unpleasant as well, because I put on a bit of extra weight in my youth, and so there was a little song.
Easy picking.
There was a song.
There was a song that they made up. He's small, he's round, he bounces on the ground. Fatty Saunders.
Oh, you know these things.
That's not funny.
Yeah, no,
It's not funny.
it's imaginative.
It's a good. No, it's not.
I'm
It's
gonna
not
need
a good song. It's not a good song in any way.
I'm gonna need a little sip of root beer.
Yeah,
because I'm trying to make root beer.
Was there what tune was that sung to?
That's what I mean.
Oh
really?
Oh, brilliant. So was early life enjoyable then? I'm sort of getting
I
mixed
think
messages.
at home it was.
Friends?
I regret not being a bit sportier
Okay.
for many reasons. I did always have friends.
Yeah.
And yes, in that sort of early part of life, I did get a little bit of. But I think, actually things like that, they do make you.
Yeah.
They break
Character
you.
building.
But they are character building.
Yeah.
And I think I learned to think quickly, to respond with wit and humour.
Were your parents aware that you had a struggle?
Yeah, I think so. But I wouldn't have ever gone home and sort of moaned about it. I think I tried to. I probably internalised it a bit too much, actually.
Wow.
This is suddenly turning into a counselling session.
No.
Yeah, so I feel all right about it now, but I know at the time there was some tough stuff. But I think I do reflect on it and think these experiences, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah.
Too cliche.
Said by yes, very intelligent. Well, it sounds like those sort of things push you to maybe later on in life want to build yourself up as a character, and is that those free time where you maybe necessarily weren't doing sport or going to parties. Is that how you got into your more creative side?
Yeah, I was quite creative as a kid, particularly around writing. Like I used to, apparently when I was very little, I used to dictate stories before I could write. I used to dictate stories that my dad would write down.
Okay.
Which I don't think he kept. I'm sure they were abysmal, but I think when I was really little, I used to dictate
What
stories.
are we talking about? 3, 4, 5?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And
What do you mean by like dictate? Would you be like, that's good, that's bad, that's...
I think I would just
I would say the story.
make up a story.
Oh, right, yeah,
and my dad would write them down.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't like a dictator.
Yeah, so I thought I
didn't try and invade
Poland.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That came later.
Yeah.
I wish you had some of the writing. You could find some and bring them back. But yeah,
I don't think so.
no. Well, what was it that like made you like want to start writing then?
Yeah, how did you discover it?
Yeah.
That's a good question, actually, and I don't honestly know. I know that I did have. We're going to skip a lot of time here, but I know that when I first went to university, I really enjoyed a creative task that I was given in a lecture, and I had this amazing lecturer at university called Julia Swindells. Unfortunately, has passed away since. Okay. If I ever won an Oscar, she would be my Oscar thanks lady. Like, she's the person I would do a speech about, because she pulled me to one side and she said, "I think you've got an amazing ability to write creatively." I think she was overrating me a little bit, but she said that I think you're a creative writer.
Yeah.
And so for the next term, everybody else had to do essays, and she secretly set me creative writing tasks.
Oh wow,
that's the dream.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so instead of writing like a discussion of a poem,
Yeah.
because I was doing an English degree, I would have to write like a poem that was like that poem, like a pastiche. Or, I would have to do a sort of first person diary entry from a character rather than an essay about a book.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And I did that for a term, and I was like, I really enjoyed it.
So had you not started creative writing properly before then?
I'd always done bits and bobs. I'd always erred towards story writing when I was at secondary school and that. But if I was to point at one catalytic moment that was this was the transformation, that was it. And it's really interesting that I didn't do that. Was not in my own power.
Right.
That was about someone spotting some potential in me.
Yeah.
Okay.
And saying, "I'm going to open this door for you." And I think we need those people, and we need to be those people for others.
I'm sure. Yeah, I feel like
amazing.
Throughout life, when you're sort of coming into your passion stuff like writing, I feel like there are different stages of that story where you'll meet different people that will push you in the right direction.
Yeah,
they'll help you develop as a writer for you. I can relate to that through my filmmaking, just through meeting different people and being told by people like you that some stuff isn't as good as others. So I can see why that would have made the big difference. What would you say is the first opportunity where you really got to, outside of a classroom, show off your writing ability as a writer?
Well, I got, because we should just get this out of the way early on. So much of my career has been spent in a very strange subculture. So a culture within the wider culture.
Yeah.
So I'm a Christian. I've always worked for Christian organisations, and the 16 books that I've written have all been in that kind of subculture as well. So there's been this kind of religious kind of tone to everything,
including the fiction books,
including the fiction, hilariously, and but not including the screenwriting stuff.
Yeah.
So so that wasn't in there at all. But
stuff, yeah.
But certainly those, and so. When I started working for a Christian kind of organisation, I started working for would you believe there's a Christian radio station? I started working for them, and I got to do quite a lot of writing stuff for them, and through the contacts I made there, I got to write some books. I would say now, no one should ever write a book when they're 23. You're not ready to write a book when you're 23.
It would almost
to write a book.
It would almost be like starting a podcast when you're 18.
Well, no, I don't think it is. I don't think it is. I think as I've got older, I think writing a good book is so difficult. And I know that for me, I did it far too early. So I got some great opportunities, which I suppose I've honed my craft slightly in public.
Yeah.
But in a very small subsection of the public, who are by nature very nice and not very critical.
That's what the religion is, I guess.
But, so that's good.
What was your first book that you started to write about when you were young? What was it about?
I can't. There's no way of explaining it, because the Christian subculture is beautiful but really weird. So I wrote a book. I mean, how did this get published? I pitched this. So I had a friend who was the world powerlifting champion. That's in your wheelhouse, right? He was the world powerlifting champion.
What was his name?
His name was Arthur White.
Arthur White.
And he, interestingly, came to my house once when Joel was 6 weeks old,
Wow.
And do you know he cradled you in his arms?
Yeah.
In fact, he just held you in a single hand.
Oh, like a finger.
Yeah, because he was so gigantic, Joel. So that
past the gym.
I feel like it was like he gave you like some sort of like
fitness.
It's like a Marvel kind of origin story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I met him, and he was the world powerlifting champion, but he also was what you call an evangelist. So he would go and tell people about God.
Yeah.
And I basically wrote a story about him going around the world telling people stories. But how that became
Well,
published
actually,
book,
Fictional
I don't
or
know.
non-fictional?
No, it's real. I mean,
Yeah.
that would be
It's
a
real.
weird thing to make
It's
up.
a- no, but I mean, like, was it like, you know, like his adventures, or was it like, you know,
The
just like-
Adventures of
yeah,
Arthur.
yeah, exactly. But it was
A
more of
world
just a
power-
Like an
Big
autobiography.
yeah,
It was a real thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
I would assume if he's the champion, it would have done quite well.
You would think. But it turns out that powerlifting, certainly then, it's quite niche. It's the sort of thing you only find in Eurosport.
Yeah. You
So-
wouldn't happen to find it anywhere today.
I went to the British powerlifting championships once, and it was like in a gym, like the one down the road. You know,
Really?
it really wasn't.
It's not that. Yeah.
It's not a Wembley.
Yeah. No,
Oh,
you think
fair.
it would be?
It's like being it's being like being a Christian writer. Like you're well known, but only by a few.
But if I ever did a book signing, I could do it in the local gym.
We can make that happen. So was there this period where you were sort of early 20s, would you say, where it was like a grind phase, where you were like really trying to put in your hours to get your name out there, make more and more stuff? And was there a moment where you felt as if, oh, this is actually going somewhere? Oh, like I'm getting better at this and I'm getting recognised more?
No,
Okay.
not in the same way that I think you guys who are doing, as you call it, the grind now, do it today. So I think, and I think this is a really positive thing. I think I probably talked to you about this, Joel. You know, I'm slightly bend your ear on this, but I think the best creativity is the stuff that you make for creativity's sake.
Okay.
You know, for yourself as an audience almost.
Okay.
You know, the best books are the books that you'd want to read.
Yeah.
That you're, you know, the best writing is where you're just writing something that you want to create and want to make
Just for
and
fun.
put out into the world.
Yeah. Oh, right, okay.
And so I think that was how I was in that stage. I was just like, it was purely about creative expression. I was never trying to make it in any way.
Yeah.
To begin with.
To begin with.
And then what happened was I met a friend just before you were born. So this is a long time ago now.
Yeah.
And his name's Stuart Hazeldine. He's you can look him up. He's a established kind of Hollywood movie screenwriter and director. He's directed a couple of really good movies that got made.
Yeah.
He's written a few films. He's contributed to quite a few kind of films that you would know of. And he was a screenwriter, and I got to know him. And he said, "Look, if you're interested in getting into screenwriting, which I was, why don't you send me what you've done? Send me a script, and I will honestly tell you if it's any good." And so, I mean, this is a bit superhero origin story. You can cut this out if you want. But is what happened was your birth was an incredibly long labour, Joel.
Oh.
You
Everything about me is
dawdled around. You dawdled around for hours and hours. And so when my wife Jo was in labour with you,
You wrote an entire script?
yeah, I at one point had to leave the hospital and come home and have a shower and stuff like that because it was taking so long.
Okay.
And I got a call from Stuart
Ooh.
During the labour.
So this was the best piece of information you received that day?
This was the best news I've heard any time around then.
Yeah.
And he rang me and he said, "I've read what you've written, and I have to say, I think you've really got something. I think you've got the ability to do it in Hollywood."
Yeah.
Which was a big shock to me because I kind of thought, I'm probably not that good.
You went into it with quite low expectations.
Really low expectations.
Okay.
Yeah. And so then I got Then I guess I tried to actually take it a bit more seriously, and then I was trying to make it in something which I'd never done before.
Was it specifically Hollywood, or was it just...
Yeah, I can't remember why at the time I kind of obsessed over... I think it was quite difficult at that time to get movies made in the UK if you weren't connected.
Okay.
It's actually much more of a democracy, or it was then. It was much more of a meritocracy in the US. That
So you have to know people to get... Yeah.
If you could... Also, I don't know if this is still the case, but at that time, 20 years ago, if you were British, in Hollywood, they just loved you.
Yeah.
And they were just like, have you read any British books recently, or read any British articles that we could adapt? You know, they were just obsessed at the
Sherlock
time.
Holmes.
Yeah. So that the accent
Spectacles.
the accent went a long way.
Oh, brilliant.
Wow.
So, hang on. So, how long after that did you then start going out to America itself? And were you trying to, what was it, movies you were writing? What were you doing?
Yeah, so that was a bit of a grind. So I then very quickly kind of wrote a better version of that screenplay, and then Stuart, he didn't keep like trying to open doors for me, but what he did do was send it to a few people he knew in LA who were managers. Because really the way you get going in screenwriting is you have a manager who will start to set up meetings for you and try to connect you up with studios and producers and all the rest of it, and people who might want to make your movie. So I got a manager through Stu.
Oh, God.
Oh, wow.
I got a manager.
How old were you at the top?
27, 28, something
Oh,
like
wow.
So,
That's
that.
nice.
So I got a manager called Brian. It was spelled with a Y though.
Okay.
So, you know, I mean, I'm not saying Brian isn't a cool name, because I know your dad's name's Brian.
Yeah.
Will, but Brian with a Y is just a little, a little cooler. So just let you know,
He listens to this.
Brian, Brian, it's not too late, mate. Just change the letter.
Just change to a Y.
Everyone should just stick a Y in the name for a while. I did it for a while. I was Martin with a Y for a while.
No, you
really?
I was, honestly.
What?
Yeah, just for like a
When?
year.
When
I was
you were
about
about
17, I just
17.
tried it out.
YN.
I swear that's
Yeah.
like the woman version.
No, it's not the woman version, it's the Welsh version.
Martina.
Oh, right.
But I realised it was silly, so I stopped.
Martina.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I digress. Not for the first time. So Brian became my manager, and I got loads of kind of meetings. I went to a whole bunch of meetings, and there's a sort of a pace that comes with that, where you start to sort of like write, and you're on the phone to Hollywood all the time, and you're writing all the time. And I mean, I think I probably wasn't around at home as much as I should have been for a couple of years. Yeah. This is probably why you've got some sort of deep-seated trauma.
Yeah, that's why I started a podcast.
That's right. First couple of years of your life. But I wrote huge amounts. I had loads of meetings.
So this was the grind.
And this was what you would describe as.
Yeah.
We got there eventually.
Yeah.
Wow.
The grind, yeah.
So did it come to any? Did it amount to?
It did. I mean, it nearly did a couple of times. So there was a script that I wrote called, well, it doesn't matter what it's called, but it ended up not being made as a full feature film, but it did get made as a short film. It got made as a half-hour or 25-minute movie that you can get on iTunes. You can watch it on the
Who was in
internet.
that?
So there were lots of people in it who now are really famous.
Really?
So you wrote this?
So I wrote this, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the one that got made. So I had a short film made called Big Guy, and it had. Let me just think about who in it. So one of the main characters was Alfred Molina, who plays Dr. Octopus in the Spider-Man movies.
Him.
The main character in it was a guy called Josh Gad, who
Josh
is
Gad?
obviously a really well-known
Olaf.
comic actor.
Yeah.
Most popularly known in Disney films
Olaf.
as Olaf and LeFou, is it? Or LeFou?
Something like that in Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast.
Wow. So you met them? And
I
stuff?
did get
You
to
did
know
read-
him a little bit, actually. And then there was an actress called Kate Mara, who's quite well known, who was in it. And you know the guy who plays Daredevil,
Yep.
Yeah.
whose name is Charlie Cox.
Okay.
He's in it, but he doesn't have a line.
But he's still in it.
He had a non-speaking role.
Gosh, and you wrote this, and
I didn't write his lines
No,
because
but-
he didn't speak any.
But you're doing read-throughs with them and stuff.
So that one all got made with me in the UK. So I never got to. Are you googling this?
Yeah. He's got
Is
the
it this
cast
one?
on.
2009.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it really exists. Yeah.
You got a 6.1 out of 10 rating on IMDb.
That's not great, is it?
No, that's
that's
better than I would get.
I mean, yeah. I do not trust films on ratings anymore because
It's a pretty
Sure.
stacked.
I mean, I wouldn't check it out.
It's like an MCU sort of.
I'm not
cast.
sure it makes
I'm
any
going
sense.
to check it out.
I'm not sure the movie makes any sense now.
Are you still making money off of it?
I don't think I've ever made
screenplay Martin Saunders.
a penny
You're on here.
of it. But I am on IMDb. I think I'm Martin Saunders brackets 3 on IMDb.
So audience can look him up on IMDb.
You shouldn't. There's nothing.
Well, maybe soon. We can make a Mandan film.
You never know who's listening to this.
Oh well.
You know,
That
people
guy who bullied
who
you.
are-
The guy who bullied you.
It could be the guy, Jason
Brian.
Hood.
Brian.
Brian Jerome, and
No.
somebody who wants to employ a rookie town planner.
Fair play.
Any of those people might be listening.
How
Wow.
are you finding the skills to do this? Like, were you constantly developing your skills through practice, or is there like a book, or was it a tutorial videos? How are you developing your skills as a writer?
I just wrote loads.
Okay,
I
trial
just
and error.
wrote and wrote and wrote, and I had good mentors. I had people read my stuff and tell me why it was rubbish.
Okay.
Over and over again.
That's
and
good.
the best, it's, self-help books are of some value, but the truth is, most people who read books to tell you how to do things are actually procrastinating.
Oh, wow.
They're not doing the thing.
Yeah.
Instead of reading a book about writing, just write. Just do some writing.
Yeah,
Because then you're going to improve anyway.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's hard to study writing.
Oh, brilliant. I mean, it sounds like you were spending a lot of time with people around Hollywood. Are there any interesting stories that the audience might know the names of that you can tell?
Well, yeah, I suppose so. Yes, I mean, I got to know some people in Hollywood. I met quite a few people in Hollywood, and that is one of the weird things about, Hollywood. So, I mean, the best illustration this I can give you is, this sounds like a flex, but honestly, it was one of the worst nights of my life.
Oh, okay.
You're just impressed that I know what the word flex means.
Yeah, no, very down with the kids.
And I went to the rap party.
The rap party.
So it's not
like
it's
rap
not
battle.
Dr. Dre again.
No.
The rap party is when they wrap up. So
Wrap-
the last,
right, okay,
when they
yeah.
finish filming,
Okay.
they throw a party.
Wow.
And when I was in that phase where I had a manager and he was getting me, and when I was in town, he was getting me invitations
Into
to
doors
things.
and stuff.
Wow.
And he was just trying to get me in rooms.
Yeah.
I went to the rap party for the original Transformers.
What, the Megan Fox one?
Yes, the Megan Fox one.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so there were only about 50 people there. It was the cast and crew
And you.
and me. And I tell you, the interesting thing about that was it was a dark insight into how Hollywood works, because you would literally. So I was an emerging screenwriter, which is on the very bottom rung of who could be at any party.
Yeah.
And so I hadn't got a credit. Nobody would have known anything I'd done.
Yeah.
What happens in those rooms is everybody's trying to figure out what value anyone else
Has
can
to
be
them.
to them.
Yeah.
Rather
You know
than
what I
just
mean?
getting to know
It's
yourself.
all about social.
It's
Okay.
what you can give, you can do for me. What door can you open?
Were you
Right.
playing that card as well?
No. I was just. I mean, I'm as you can tell, I'm just nice.
You're just a nice guy.
Wow.
So you weren't trying to build up a contacts list? of
No,
people
I
that
was
you
just like, this is fun.
Yeah.
There's a free bar and
Yeah.
free food,
could- That's nice, man.
and it's Transformers.
Priorities.
And Megan Fox was there, but you were married.
We'll get onto that. And so
He actually.
there
That's
were
how I was
lots-
born.
There were. That makes no sense.
No, as in she's my mum.
Yeah, but how would that happen?
I don't know.
Anyway,
Well, I do know.
Moving swiftly on.
do you edit these podcasts?
Well, sort of.
So I got to meet a number of people, and what you do is you'd have a 5-second conversation where you'd ask them who they were. They'd say, "I'm the star of the film. I'm Shia LaBeouf."
And you can say, I wrote Big Guy.
Not even, I haven't even done that yet. And they would ask me who I was, and then immediately they would just turn around. They would
Really?
just
Without
not-
saying anything?
Absolutely without saying anything.
Really? Wow.
They would just turn away because I was of no value.
I'd be fuming.
And that was genuinely what happened.
I'd be fuming.
And so I kind of spent the evening trying to get to know people and failing. And in the end, I realised that there was this massive untouched buffet at one end of the room.
Brilliant.
Okay.
And these people are all Hollywood actors. They all eat nothing.
Yeah. You gotta invest.
They were all on the tap water.
Okay.
Well, sparkling minerals.
Yeah. Of course.
And so I was
Boss.
like, they were bringing out these like mini fillet steaks on skewers and things. I mean, it was incredible food, and it was all going to go to waste.
And you were like, Minnie, come on. I'm from Britain.
I was like, I can eat all of this.
Yeah.
So I tried, and so I basically just ate my feelings for about an hour.
Gosh.
Brilliant.
And it was a free bar as well, and it was just it was carnage.
Yeah.
And so that was sort of my experience of the evening until I then started to feel like a bit ill.
Due to
because
the
I'd eaten all this food,
Yeah.
and I'd had a big lunch as well, and I just started to. And when you got to go,
You gotta go.
that is where, thankfully, in Hollywood, they have great toilet paper,
Oh, brilliant.
Oh, really?
luxury toilet paper. So I ran to the.
This is why I had it on
Yeah.
the spaceship.
I ran to the bathroom. Basically, I suddenly had this moment of like, I gotta go.
Yeah.
I gotta go.
Yeah.
And so I ran to the bathroom, and it was. I'm sorry if anyone's having their lunch while they're listening
That's
to
right.
this. Or anything. I presume no one's still listening at this point.
No.
But I
Yeah.
emptied myself of all but love, and then basically realised it was a unisex toilet.
So
yeah,
not
yeah,
both.
yeah.
Oh.
So I was like, oh no, this is horrible, and I'm not alone in here.
Oh no.
Oh.
And then I came out having made an enormous noise
No.
and a huge smell.
No.
And it was at that point,
No.
that's the point
No.
at which I met Megan Fox.
No.
Mad.
That's tragic.
That's when I met Megan Fox.
Oh no.
And I don't know whether I've just imagined this, but I'm pretty sure she retched.
What, she went like,
Uh,
oh my gosh, wow.
Oh no.
Wow. Do you know what, we need to put this as the first clip in the
That
podcast.
is probably the worst start you could meet someone like that.
yeah.
Wow.
I know.
And then
But-
she was like, I feel like I would be a good character in this thing you've got going.
No,
called Big Guy.
No, no. No, we
Didn't
never,
say that,
Megan
no.
and I never worked together again.
Oh no.
After
No.
that, which is a shame.
Except for my birth. No.
But this is a weird thread. That you
This is
delete. So that was my big brush with
Wow.
with stardom.
Wasn't there another story about a toilet where you met another huge star?
I went to an agency and I happened to pass Dwayne the Rock Johnson
Oh wow.
Oh, casual.
using a bathroom.
Oh. Wow.
But that
Did he have
not
hair?
much of a story to that.
Did he have hair at that point?
I don't remember.
Oh,
I
fair.
mean, it's a long time ago.
Yeah.
But he was definitely in the same bathroom area as me. I don't know why my brushes with fame have all been in toilets.
Yeah.
Maybe you're spending a lot of your time in the toilet.
I know. I feel like I could make an inappropriate joke, but I'm not going to.
Well, we are an 18 rated podcast. No, I'm joking, we're not.
No, thank you.
Okay, wow, that is very inspirational that you
What, that bit?
that you've had to, that you're
I'm
able
sure
to-
that was hugely inspirational.
No, obviously not. But it's inspirational that you're able to come back from that moment.
Well, I did,
And then
and I
carry
should
on.
just say, I did then write a full-length screenplay, and it nearly got made.
Yeah.
So the big story, probably, if I could, the most interesting kind of actual near-miss story is that I wrote a rom-com which was a lot of people really liked and got a pre-production even started up on it. So we had,
really?
we had a cast, we had a director.
Yeah.
People were starting to sign on to it. People were trying to package this film, and there was a contract with a big number on it.
So
Which sadly had to involve them actually filming something before I got paid.
okay.
But that was probably the closest I sort of
Why didn't
came. And there were some really great people involved in it as well. So Josh Gad was going to be in that.
Okay.
A guy who I did a lot of work with, who directed Big Guy actually, but a guy, amazing British actor called David Oyelowo, who plays Martin Luther King, but probably most memorably is the villain in Peter Rabbit 2.
Oh,
yeah,
him!
yeah.
Nigel
Oh,
Bradford
him!
Jones.
The boxing guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The boxing guy.
He's an amazing actor. He was a brilliant guy. He took me under his wing. He was just a wonderful guy. And I'm just being nice because in case he listens.
Oh, he does.
I'm sure he's a big listener. No, he was wonderful. And so he was going to kind of put together, direct it. And did I say Bryce Dallas Howard was the other big kind of actress?
As in
who
the
was
woman
attached to
from
it?
Jurassic World.
The woman from Jurassic World.
Oh.
The ginger one.
Yeah.
And
Her
many
as
other
well.
You didn't
things.
mention
Oh wow.
So have you met her then?
I did, yeah.
Wow.
Met her, got to chat to her a bit.
Do you reckon they'd remember you if they...
No,
okay.
absolutely not.
I was going to say that.
But she was lovely as well. They were all really nice, these people. And then what happened was the movie just didn't quite, for complicated reasons, and I think there's always a story in Hollywood, and I couldn't give you with any clarity why it fell apart, but it just didn't quite make it from that thing of like people wanting to do it and agencies wanting to package it, and it just didn't quite make it over the line. And I think the truth is there's probably I used to for a while I was really cursing my luck. I was like, I got so close.
Yeah.
I'm the one unlucky guy who didn't make it and didn't get into Hollywood, and I could have been this, and the truth is that 95% of the people who've ever tried to get into Hollywood have my story. You know, or who? Sorry, 95% of the people who got as far as I did, then have my story, and fell at that hurdle because it's actually incredibly hard to get a movie made, and there's a lot of luck involved and timing, and unfortunately, it wasn't to be.
Do you feel like that? Maybe you could call it a failure in that story of that script that nearly made it. Do you think that felt demoralising enough for you to then feel like, okay, I'm going to call it a day with the screenwriting, and that's why those 3 years came to an end? Or do you think you could have carried on and you had to stop due to other reasons besides the failure?
Well, the other big brush with celebrity I've had won't impress you at all. If you were my age, you'd be super excited about this. But for a convoluted reason, I ended up doing. I had a meeting with an actor called Martin Sheen, who's one of the absolute Hollywood greats. There was a show called The West Wing that you've probably heard of that was about the sort of the White House. Ran for about 7 or 8 seasons. Brilliant, lots of people's favourite TV show, not people your age. And he played the president of the United States in that. So he's a really big actor. Yeah. He's been in loads of things. In Apocalypse Now, he's in loads of great older movies.
Still going.
And he's in his 70s or even 80s now. Wow, but he's still acting. Anyway, so I sat down with him and I asked him the question. I had a few minutes with this like proper Hollywood legend, and I asked him like, what would you do if you were me? Like, I want to make it a screenwriter, but I just haven't managed to do it. I've tried all these doors. I got so close. What's your advice? And he said, and I told him about having family and stuff. Yeah. And he said, do you know what? I don't doubt that you could get wherever you wanted to do if you're prepared to put in the hard work. Yeah. You could make it in Hollywood as long as you don't care about what happens with your family.
Oh wow! Yeah. And you already had two.
I already had 2 kids at the time.
Yeah.
And I had a wife. Yeah. And actually, my family were the most important thing. And I think it crystallised in that moment that I couldn't truly, with a day job as well, put all these extra hours in the evening and have great relationships with my family. Yeah. And so I made a conscious decision at that point. Just this was enough. Like I'd given it a good few years, and it was time to call it a day. And I've often thought, I will have another go at this. I'll have another run at this later. I've always got like little ideas at the back of my mind or at the back of a notebook somewhere. Yeah. But I think probably I made a decision that for the next chapter of my life, I was gonna choose option A and prioritize family rather than I'm gonna make it at all costs.
Yeah.
It's a pretty significant chapter we've just covered there, because it does sound like it had its highs and it's had its lows, mainly in the toilet. But no, that it sounds like that was definitely, as you say, linking back to the bullying in your early life. These sort of things that maybe in the moment seem like massive failure, they're the character building moments that then lead on to writing 16 books or coming back when you're 55 to write a film or something. So I think maybe without that failure or that difficult conversation where you felt like you had to stop or press pause for a while, that's where you then develop the ability to be better, and maybe the second time round do better than you would have done if you'd rushed it in your 20s. So I can understand why you made that decision. Obviously, in the sense of writing, we've covered screenwriting. Was the writing of books just going on in the background of that? Because you say 16, that's quite a big,
books.
CV
that's a lot
of
books. Yeah.
But was that just happening in the background, or?
Yeah, I mean, probably not during those 3 years. I think I just concentrated on the movies, but after that, I did get back into sort of writing. I've always had a creative project on the go all the time. I think it's really good for everyone to have a creative project.
I agree,
at any time. And the best thing, I've said this already, but the best thing is if you don't really care if it ever finds an audience. Okay. Like what matters is the act of creativity. Yeah. And to give yourself permission to be creative even and not care whether it's good or not. Like you don't have to worry about whether it's good or not. Just getting it out there is enough, as this podcast proves.
Yeah, that's very true. Maybe one day people will come back and listen to the older episodes, but as you say, it's just sometimes fun to do these smaller projects, like a Would I Lie to You episode or something. I can completely see that. What would you say is your favourite book you've written though?
Probably. So you mentioned it earlier, but I wrote a book about being a man.
Okay. Yeah.
It's called The Man You're Made to Be.
It's dedicated to someone, isn't it?
I can't remember. Is it dedicated to you?
It might be, yeah.
Oh, I wish I'd remembered that.
Oh.
You did give me a fairly large clue. So I wrote a book about basically what it means to grow up well, particularly in your teenage years, but probably into your 20s as well, as a man, particularly in this current world where there's all these conflicting ideas of what masculinity is and needs to be. Okay. And there's an awful lot of confusion around masculinity, and there's also I think men get a really bad press, sometimes rightly, sometimes not so rightly.
No, I agree.
So I know that you are going to be passionate about that on the Man Den podcast.
Yeah, maybe we'll create a second podcast called the Girl Den podcast, hosted by 3 or 4 girls.
I don't think you should.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed writing that, and that's probably also the book that I've had the best feedback on, because it tries to, the big thing it tries to do is give people permission to be the kind of bloke that they feel that they are. Yeah. Rather than feeling conformed to a specific, you have to be like this to be a man, otherwise you're not a real man.
What's interesting about that is because it's that's so relevant in sort of the last few years, and this year that's such a relevant topic. I can see that will have appealed to a large audience who might read it or who might not read it, but that would have appealed to a large audience. But I can, with bigger numbers in comparison to other books, that might have brought in maybe some negative attention as well. Yeah. Was there ever any negative reviews or comments or anything in that book?
I did get there's a really horrible Amazon review from a guy who didn't realise I was a Christian. Okay. So he didn't like the fact that he was like, keeps talking about Jesus.
Even though it's about being a Christian.
Yeah. And I think it's fairly clear from the synopsis that that's a big part of it. It's not I hope it's not a book that you don't have to be a Christian to read it. Yeah. But I'm just very open, like as I have been here, I'm open about the fact that my faith's really important to me, and that I think it actually provides a really helpful way of seeing the world. So, there was a guy who really hated that and gave me a 1-star review on Amazon. They kill you as well, 1-star reviews. Really? Well, because they just bring your rating right down. They bring you down from suddenly. I mean, when you don't have that many reviews, 1 star, that really hurts your average.
That's why they rate it 5 stars.
Yeah, and I went on a podcast where I kind of did a debate with a guy who was a sort of a gun-toting, UFC-loving Christian guy.
Was he American?
American, yeah. That's right. And he had a very much genuinely women are best in the kitchen kind of.
Oh wow!
Yeah, kind of view of the universe.
Very old-fashioned.
A little bit. Yeah. And he and I had quite a good conversation. I tried to be kind and tried to listen to him and respond to what he was saying rather than just have an argument. Okay. But some of the comments on that were just, I stopped reading them after a while.
Wow. Because of people on his side. Yeah.
People who did
on his side.
Who were just
commenting him.
Just calling me a beta male.
Oh really?
All sorts of things.
Well, the fan of the alpha male that he.
They didn't like me.
Oh, was the guy that you were debating with the host, or was he just?
No, he was just another guy.
It would be like us getting 2 people on the podcast who disagree, and then them debating.
So I've had some hate.
Okay.
And I think you'll get some hate as well.
Oh mate,
have you had some?
I've had a few comments, and do you know what? I always read them out to you, but I'm never like her.
No.
I think with me, I'm the sort of person who laughs at a comment that's, a hate comment, especially if I don't know them. If I know them, I'll be like, okay, that's a little bit more I know that person. But if it's a random person in Peru or I don't know, Australia.
Do you have many Peruvian listeners?
60% of my audience is actually no. But I feel like it doesn't matter if it's just a number on a screen.
Was it Paddington? Did Paddington go for you?
Darkest Peru. Yeah. But if it's someone I know, it might do. But I can see why. I can see why a comment on an Amazon thing might not get to you as much as if it was someone talking about it that you know. But interesting. So you've said what you think your best book is or your favourite book.
Yeah.
What is your least favourite book? The book that you wish you never put out, or you just think is the worst?
Oh, I don't think you should ever wish you'd never put anything out. Well, maybe you should think that.
What's your worst book?
But I think the one I sort of like sort of hang my head at the moment about is I wrote a novel called England's Messiah.
Yeah, greatest book to ever written. I've read it.
Which is a novel about a footballer who comes from nowhere to become, the greatest England footballer ever.
Yeah.
And it was funny. It was quite prophetic because I wrote it at the same time as Wayne Rooney was coming from from nowhere, but he kind of came through the ranks really, really quickly and got picked for the tournament that was that year. So that weirdly it ended up being very prescient and
Didn't it get a review in 442?
it got a review in 442 magazine. It was a
Match of the Day.
Yeah.
2-word review.
2-word review.
Christian Claptrap, 1 star.
What does claptrap mean?
Claptrap just means crap.
Okay, 1 star.
Once. That was the review.
That
It's
was
the same
Christian Claptrap, and it was and
Good review.
the main character was meant to basically like be Jesus.
Oh, what?
And
like just come out of nowhere and be the Messiah.
yeah, but it doesn't work.
Doesn't,
And I also, I just again, I wrote it I was too young.
Was this before Hollywood?
I hadn't honed my abilities.
Oh,
I feel a bit embarrassed about it now, if I'm honest.
That's all right.
Please don't look it up. It's
Go
not
read it on
available.
Amazon.
It's not available.
What was it called again?
Yeah.
Oh, it's been removed. No.
Just on the hate thing, I think it's worth saying because if you do get hate, and if anyone, in any area of life finds they're dealing with like negative comments, negative feedback, the most important thing for me is just to, rather than focus on that, is to make sure you surround yourself with people who you might say have your back. You young people might say, but I would say people who are for you, people who have your best interests at heart, and if you're surrounded by those
the right
people,
reasons,
if those are your friends, if you know that your friends care about you and actually care what happens to you, then actually those comments hurt a lot less because you've got those people, the people who really matter.
You should care about the opinions that care about you.
Exactly, will have your back.
Brilliant. Well, that's actually really good. I think I could apply that to a lot of the stuff that I do. What would you like? Obviously, you've gone through these 16 books. What are is there a sort of like a day in the life of like writing a book? Like, is there the stages of having to write it like, or is it quite a normal process?
I think it's probably different for everybody.
Yeah.
If you're working with a really good editor, then there's lots of backwards and forwards with other creative people. It's not as siloed as you would think it is. It's not just like you going into a room and writing and then
Lock yourself in.
and then sending 100,000 words in. Like you should be working with and bouncing off other people.
Nice.
I think deadlines are really important with writing because if you, I mean, I work best against pressure.
Yeah.
And certainly if you don't have that pressure, if you don't have people counting on you, waiting for the next chapter or whatever, then I find I really hit the skids. The I'm not really answering your question, but the other interesting thing I would say about writing is everybody has a better time of the day to work and to be creative.
Okay.
And I think that's especially true with writing. Some people find their brain like comes absolutely alive at 11 o'clock at night.
Are you one of those people?
I'm absolutely not one of those people.
Oh, fair.
I work best, and I only discovered this like 10 years ago or so. I work way better at 6 in the morning.
Okay.
So I get up early, have a cup of coffee, and I work. And so if I'm writing a book, the first hour of the day, 6 till 7, will be when I'm writing the book. And then by like 9, 10 o'clock, I realise I've like no creativity at all.
You can tell in the part of the book where it's got to 10 o'clock.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, it just goes completely off the book. I can't start confusing the main character's name and stuff like that. But I think that everybody has a different time of the day. So for you, Will, it might be early afternoon, like you have a spot of lunch and you perk up. Other people, they find like their creativity doesn't switch on until the evening.
So did you write England's Messiah at sort of 11 p.m. then?
Sounds like it.
1 in the morning. It was a late one.
It really was.
After just a very busy day.
It really was.
Interesting. Would you have any big like tips for someone who's aspiring to be a writer in either the screenwriting or the writing side of things?
Yeah, I think I've already said like the most important thing with writing is to find your voice.
Okay.
And not to try and write for what you think people want to read. So don't try and be someone else.
Yeah.
There are examples of quite popular writers or successful writers, let's say, who are just trying to be someone else.
Okay.
And I'm not going to spell out who I think
That's
that is,
all
but
right.
there are those people, particularly in the children's kind of area.
Ah.
But I think, you know, I think it's a mistake to try and ape someone else. I think what the world needs is your creativity and your voice. And so write for yourself. Write the stuff that you want to read. Write the stuff that only you can write. And then along with that, I mean, you know, if you wanna write stuff, there's a sort of Venn diagram between the thing that only you can say and the thing that is your unique voice. And then also the stuff that people care about, the stuff that people give a stuff about, they're interested in. And somewhere in the middle is the sweet spot. The stuff only you can say that people... I think that
Still
applies
wanna hear
to
about.
all creativity, really. It probably
Yeah.
applies to this podcast even. You know, if you can find the sweet spot between the sweet spot between the stuff that only you can say or do and what people really care about, then that's magic.
Yeah.
Wow,
That's what you want to...
Brilliant answer.
Got to find that in the podcast then.
Yeah.
So that's the thing to work towards, I suppose.
So what other stuff have you got going on besides writing? Because obviously you're that's only a little part of your life right now, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's really a small part of my life. It's genuinely a sort of side... What do you people say? Side hustle.
Side hustle, yeah.
It's a side hustle.
Side quest.
A side quest. It is. It's a very extensive side quest. No, I work full time for a youth charity. I run a big event. The main part of my job is I run a big event in the summer for young people called Satellites, where we're probably this year going to have about 4,000 people for 5 days.
Yeah.
Wow.
Along to a summer camp. So that's quite fun and allows lots of creativity. Like, I'm very fortunate that I've always been able to have a really creative, enjoyable job.
Yeah.
It's not a coincidence that you've also, you know, not been able to go on nice holidays or
No.
have a big house.
I've been to your... No, I genuinely, I've done some work experience at your office, and I noticed, like, you know what they say about, like, Google and all of those, like, big companies that are very focused on creativity. Like, you did seem to focus that a lot around, like, sort of improvement and stuff like that, and being very creative minded rather than just, like, numbers on the screen or whatever. So
honestly, I think creativity and curiosity are the most exciting things.
Oh yeah.
Way more interesting than trying to make it, or you know, to try and like get the most likes.
Yeah.
You know, if you can stay curious and be creative, then you'll have a fulfilling life, I think.
And you podcast too, don't you?
I do podcasts. Yeah, I make a very niche podcast. So within the Christian niche, which is very small, I then work actually within youth ministry, which is a small subsection of Christian world.
Yeah.
And we have the most popular podcast in that tiny niche.
Oh, really?
Which is called the Youthscape Podcast. But I understand that it's already got... I believe you've already overtaken the number of 5-star.
We've now doubled their
ratings.
5-star.
Oh, really?
And they're
Yeah.
the most popular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I tell you, mate, we do numbers.
It's a small niche, but it's an important one,
But
I
if
think.
it's something you enjoy, then yeah.
Yeah.
How often are you doing that?
So we do about 30 a year.
Okay.
So it's not every other week. We do seasons of 10. I have a very, very talented and popular co-host called Rachel Gardner, who most people listen for her.
Yeah.
It's a bit like this setup here, Will, where most people are tuning in for...
Oh,
No,
stop it.
Completely
Stop
you
it.
for Will, yeah.
It's flashing,
certainly that's why I listen.
I'm sure you've never listened.
I've never
I'm sure most of our listeners know who Rachel is. Interesting. So 30 a year, is that like, because we have like we do every other Monday. Do you have like a day that it's going out, or?
Yeah, it goes on Mondays. Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. So we do seasons of 10,
Okay.
and we do Mondays for 10 weeks, and then we take a break. Some of my favourite podcasts work like that. I'm not, I don't know if it's right. I think there might be an argument that actually just coming out, regularly
Yeah.
through the year is
I mean,
better.
you definitely can talk, so you seem like...
Yeah, sorry.
No, you've
No,
definitely...
no.
This is perfect.
It's brilliant.
No, honestly, you've been good. I mean, you definitely seem like you found like your different jobs that you are very suited to. So we don't want to hold on to you for too long. Obviously, you've given us a lot of your time. But just quickly, what have you got coming up in the coming days?
I mean, you're about to do your A-levels, so I'm mainly going to be spending my time saying, Joel, do some flipping revision.
Yeah, what have you got in your job?
That's most of my life at the moment. Is trying to make you do things that aren't this.
Yeah, fair.
And you might understand, Will.
Oh no, don't worry. I understand
Unsuccessfully.
very well.
So that mainly, trying to parent.
Okay.
That's probably the most important.
And you've got 3 other kids, haven't you?
Yes, I have. Yes, they also take up time. And yeah, we're working towards the festival this summer, which is looking really exciting. One of the guys that we have speaking this year is one of my heroes, a guy called Greg Boyle, who is a Catholic priest who set up the world's largest gang intervention project, and he has got literally tens of thousands of gang members off the streets and into social enterprises and working for bakeries and plumbers and all sorts of these other things that he set up. I mean, he's just transformed areas of Los Angeles.
That's brilliant. You had me worried for a second. I thought he'd done the opposite.
No, he's not
and he created a gang.
He's top boy.
Yeah. He's done the opposite. That's brilliant.
No, amazing guy. And so I'm really excited about meeting him.
Oh, brilliant!
And having him come to speak. So that's my life. A lot of my life is kind of organising stuff like that and finding really interesting people. I think will be inspirational for young people to listen to.
It's very exciting.
What would be what's your one goal that you really want to do? Once these lot have moved out, or later on, really later on.
Well, I mean, God, do you know what? We're going to come full circle because I'd love to have another go at Hollywood.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I've got, there's no end of enthusiasm and ideas.
Mm.
It's just having the time to really dedicate it. So I think the reason last time that it didn't work out is that ultimately I couldn't make it my full focus. And I think if I had my time again, I would have somehow found a way not to do my day job, just to quit work and to have spent a year. This is not going to justify you now wasting a year of your life, Joel. I would have quit my day job. I would have written for a year and done nothing else. And I think at some point I'd love to be in a position to do that and to focus, rather than it be the side quest, for it to be the main quest. Let's see if then I can get the prize at the end.
Wow,
brilliant!
That's brilliant,
Martin Saunders. This has been a brilliant interview. Where I'm sure the viewers, if they're still listening, have learned a lot about how they can be a writer, or if that's a passion of theirs, how they can transfer that knowledge into whatever craft they're interested in. Final question that we ask all of our guest before you.
All of our guests.
What is one piece of advice, very short, just 1 or 2 sentences, that you would give to sort of someone like you, maybe you back in the day when you were my age, starting out in sort of becoming what you've become now? What is one piece of advice that you would give to you back in the day?
I feel like I've tried to give a few pieces of advice through this. And probably the most consistent thing I've said, I will say again in a slightly different way, which is there is only one you, right? You have a unique voice. Right. And so when you, if you think about creativity, don't try and be like anyone else. Be you. The world needs you and your voice, not you trying to be somebody else because we've already got that person. And so you're the only person who can give us your unique creative voice. So let's have it.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well,
brilliant.
I've really enjoed this.
Yeah,
we'll definitely get you back for part 2.
Well, look,
Absolutely.
let's have a chat with Charlie in the room.
No, I don't think so.
Let's just see how we feel.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for your time. At the beginning of the interview, you found out which 2 non-essential items Martin would bring to space with him. And funnily enough, Noah, our first guest, has also sent in a voice message saying what he would get. So here's how me and Will ranked his decision and placed him on the leaderboard. Obviously, you already know the score that he got, as we told Martin earlier, but here were our thoughts when we first received this surprising message for what he thought he would bring to space with him. Because we thought, even though this tournament wasn't a thing during his interview, we thought we'd still love to see how he placed in the leaderboard.
The question is, you're sent on a space shuttle to space, obviously,
Yeah.
for 3 years.
Yeah.
What are 2 things you have to bring with you?
Yeah.
You've already got, obviously the necessities of water, your clothes, food, whatnot. But the only other item you can't bring is your phone.
Right.
So, yeah.
So it's basically you're given 2 non-essentials additionally to your essentials, and you're having to isolate in space for 3 years alone. And so what we're going to do is, for each guest, we'll ask them this question, and obviously they're bringing 2 things each with them. So we're each going to rate that thing out of 5 to create a score of 10, because obviously 5 plus 5 is 10. And then we'll find the mean answer between the 2 hosts, and then add that to the leaderboard, and we're going to see which guests we believe is, well, sort of the smartest when it comes to space travel. So, Noah, before our guest today arrives, Noah has sent in his answer, and we're going to rank him and add him to the leaderboard, so then today's guest will have a bit of competition.
First day on the leaderboard.
So here, I'm going to play the voice note that he sent in, and we're going to react to it, and then we're going to add his score to the leaderboard.
Okay, so if we're saying 3 years alone in a spaceship, I'd probably bring one of the Guinness Book of World Records, and then I'd see how many of those world records I could try and break within those 3 years. And then the second thing...
I love the way he thinks,
I don't know. Probably some sort of robotic pet. Because like a real pet would probably die, but a robotic pet would at least be there to keep me company.
Fair play.
I thought a robot pet would last longer than 3 years.
So are we saying these robotic pets, are they like the ones that you see in like Asian like labs? You know what I'm saying? Like you know how like Japan is so advanced with the technology?
Yeah.
Do you reckon that is a thing?
Right, yeah. I'm thinking of like, it's like when you're a kid, my sister always had them. There's like a little like robotic dog on a lead. And it just like move its legs forward and backward. It just like go around in a circle.
Okay, brilliant.
Is he thinking of that, or is he thinking, oh no, because he's not here, I can't discuss?
I reckon what he means is like high tech, because obviously you're given a maximum budget.
But then when I think of a high tech dog, there's just like, I don't know if it's from a movie or something. It's like evil. It's like an evil.
Yeah. Have you seen I Show Speed has one? Recently, he got a robotic dog. Yeah, so they are a thing.
So they are actually real, like...
Yeah. So I reckon, so we're going to have to go through each one and quickly, because the guest has now arrived. He's just outside the den now. We're going to have to quickly get this score on the leaderboard. So I reckon I'm going to give the Guinness Book of Records one, out of 5, I'm going to give that a 4, because I reckon he's thinking outside the box there, and he's giving himself activities to do during the day. But the one reason it's not a 5 is because I reckon some of the Guinness Book of Records might be limited because he doesn't have those non-essentials to do it. But 4, and then for the robotic dog, I'll give that a 4 as well, just because I feel like there could be some imagine like day 2, the dog just like, I don't know, just dies. I imagine it explodes.
Yeah, exactly.
It could cause problems. Yeah. So I'm giving it an 8. And what are you giving?
Okay, so for me, I'm giving the Guinness Book of Records 4. Because I think that's a very creative one. I think that you can have a lot of fun with that.
Yeah.
But like a lot of the things that require like other things, like the amount of like eggs juggled or something.
Yeah.
You've got no eggs.
Okay, fair. So it's similar to...
So yeah, similar to that. So I'd give that a 4.
Okay.
But then the robotic dog I'd probably give a 2.
Oh, right.
Because I reckon you could have more fun with a real dog, except probably it just like poo everywhere. And
dogs probably would live for 3+ years.
Yeah, they live for 3 years in space. But like, I feel like a robotic dog, it could malfunction. Imagine that. Like second day, you get some water in it, and that's just it. It's just done for.
Now you're just alone.
So now you've just a book.
Just alone with a book. So your score is 6. Mine's 8. So that's 14 divided by 2, 7. So Noah DeBoer currently sits at 7 on the leaderboard. 7 out of 10 on the leaderboard.
That's pretty high up.
So today's guest will have to beat that.
Yeah.
So there we go. Obviously, that was recorded before we interviewed my father, and so now we know both of the 2 guests' scores. And I'm excited to see what our third guest will say and where they'll be landed on the leaderboard. I hope you enjoyed listening to. If you enjoyed, maybe consider giving the podcast a 5-star rating on Spotify, and you can follow us on Instagram. We hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks for the next episode, where we'll be doing Blind Rankings Part 2.
Thank you very much.
We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Thank you.